Yeah, but, well, I mean, couldn't he have done that in the privacy of his home though, and not for everybody?
Not when you have a wife.
That's what I mean.
Like, she's the one that's gonna probably blackmail him.
Blackmail? No, like I kind of thought maybe he would just step down and then go to his wife or whatever and be like, "Oh, I was cheating," blah blah blah. Like, why did he have to announce it to everybody?
What I feel like happened is it's because this was a former staffer, so someone that used to work with him. I feel like maybe he tried cutting it off with that staffer, and she decided, okay, you know what? Since you're going to cut it off, fuck you. I'm going to go to the news, and she brought it.
Warning. This video contains super awesome content not suitable for people who don't enjoy super awesomeness.
That's
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. You guys know this. It's your boy Kevin, and today we got Craig
2000.
Craig 3000, and we got the lovely Miss Stephanie over here.
Hey, how's it going?
So, I don't know. Have you guys heard in the news what's going on with John Tory, the mayor of Toronto?
What's the story, Mr. Tory?
Yeah, so apparently Mr. Tory was caught having an affair. I know you guys heard about that in the news. Anyone? No?
I don't think he was caught. I think he spilled the beans before someone
that's what
blackmailed.
Yeah, that's what he did. That was pretty smart of him, I guess. To do that.
Mr. Tory, give me a Tim Hortons and I'll keep it on the hush hush.
All right, that's all I got to do, right? So anyways, I want to watch this video and let's see what happened exactly. All right.
Well, we began with a political bombshell in Toronto. The city's mayor is stepping down after admitting to having an affair with a female staff member.
I recognize that permitting this relationship to develop was a serious error in judgment on my part. While I deeply regret having to step away from a job that I love in a city that I love even more, I believe in my heart it is best to fully commit myself to the work that is required to repair these most important relationships.
John Tory made his announcement in a short address to reporters yesterday evening, just 1 hour after the Toronto Star published an investigation revealing the affair. For a closer look, let's bring in David Ryder. He's the City Hall.
So I think like he did the right thing. Like if he did have an affair, he got ahead of it, right? Because he knew it was going to come out. And stepping down was the right thing for him. How do you feel?
I honestly think that he got caught and somebody blackmailed him into stepping down and obviously having to like say why he's stepping down.
Yeah.
I mean, if you got a side chick that you've hidden from the whole nation, I mean,
probably should step down, eh? Or
I don't think you should step down.
What do you mean?
I'm quite impressed.
You're gonna be like
quite impressed.
The next Bill Clinton.
Yeah. I'm not into politicians, but I'm into controversy.
All right.
Bureau chief for the Toronto Star and one of the reporters who helped break the story. David, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Obviously being sensitive here to the fact that, you can't and won't be revealing your sources here, but wondering if you can give us a little bit more insight into how you and your team broke this story.
Yeah, so I have a 3-member bureau at City Hall, and we, talk to people all the time, and you get past all kinds of tidbits about gossip, and some of it, a lot of it is not true, and a lot of it is just not reportable or not news. We heard quite a while ago, actually before Christmas, that there was something going on with the mayor's marriage, which on its own in Canadian politics, we wouldn't necessarily do a story unless they sort of made it official. And then more recently got a more specific tip that in fact that the mayor had a relationship that could be considered improper. We knew it was with a woman who had worked in the mayor's office. We didn't know when we started making inquiries if the relationship started when in fact he was her boss. And then that picked up steam to the point where we were pretty sure that was the case. And we put detailed questions to the mayor's office yesterday afternoon. And then we're told we would receive a reply, which we did, which we quickly published, which was him acknowledging the relationship and that it was improper. And then that followed quickly. We had heard there was a strong chance that he would resign. And that followed about an hour later with his fairly dramatic news conference where, in fact, he said he is stepping down as the mayor of Toronto.
And are you surprised that that is what he decided to do? As you say, that the timeline here is pretty quick from when he started.
I just want to mention, Okay, so he was going through this stuff with his marriage. So I was like wondering, like, why did he have to be so specific on why he was stepping down? Like, why couldn't he just say, that he's stepping down?
Yeah.
I mean, there's no right way of you got caught, so.
But why did he have to be so personal? Or like, do they have to give an explanation of why they're stepping down? Like,
I think he's gonna be blackmailed, so I think he just popped that bubble before it was exposed.
Yeah. But, well, I mean, couldn't he have done that in the privacy of his home though, and not for everybody?
Not when you have a wife.
That's what I mean. Like,
She's the one that's gonna probably blackmail him.
Blackmail? No, like I kind of thought maybe he would just step down and then go to his wife or whatever and be like, "Oh, I was cheating," blah blah blah. Like, why did he have to announce it to everybody?
What I feel like happened is it's because this was a former staffer, so someone that used to work with him. I feel like maybe he tried cutting it off with that staffer, and she decided, okay, you know what? Since you're going to cut it off, fuck you. I'm going to go to the news. And she brought it to the news because, women get very bitter after you tell them you don't want them no more. That's how they tend to get. I'm not saying you or any other, but majority of women get very bitter. And I feel that's what happened. She went to the news and said something. And then he got back to him after he tried to cut it off with her. And she wasn't having it. So she's like, no, exactly. It's like, fuck you, right?
So she blackmailed her.
I think, no, she just wanted to ruin his career. She didn't care about blackmail. She just wanted to ruin his career. That's what I think. Because women,
I don't think she was trying to ruin his career because we would know who this woman is.
Yeah.
Right? There should be an Amber Alert on this woman. Okay?
I think
we don't know who she is.
She probably asked him for money, and if he didn't, or I don't know what, but it's out now anyway.
You got to remember what he said. The Toronto Stars started messaging him, right? It's not like he just randomly decided, okay, so that means that female probably went to the news already and told them, like, listen, I'm having an affair or something's going on with John Tory. That's what I think happened.
Yeah, or maybe someone saw.
Who knows?
And then they went, yeah.
Listen, I'm just concerned if my tax dollars went on this booty call.
Tax dollar on the booty call. Well, we'll see, hopefully. Let's find it somewhere.
To put those questions to the mayor's office to when he came out and announced that he would be resigning. Does that surprise you?
I'd say yes, no. Yes, if I stand back as a political reporter who has, watched his career at City Hall from the beginning, and certainly, even only a couple of days ago, it seemed unfathomable. So that's the no part. The yes part is that I'd say on Friday was the first time I heard from the people around him, who are some of my sources, that he was considering it serious enough that he might have to resign. And I think the big question in the post-Me Too era was, did the relationship start when, in fact, he was, I think some people would say the most powerful man in Toronto, and she was a junior staffer in his office. And then when it was obvious that we believed that to be the case, and we were going to put direct pointed questions to him on that it certainly seemed a distinct possibility, And then yesterday afternoon, after our questions went in, I heard very quickly back from the people I know that, in fact, he would resign, and that is, in fact, what he did.
Do you think there are any more revelations that the public, that the people of Toronto should be bracing for on this story?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's certainly, there's a lot of people who are questioning, like, would he resign over this? Is there more? I think in any situation like this, I mean, there always is more. There is going to be more, there could be more reported detail about
he's ready to resign
the relationship
anyway,
and what exactly it involved. And there are certainly suggestions. People are asking, was this the only case? And at that point, I don't have anything I can report on that. Because
that is true. What if there's more cases? And this is why he said, no, I got to resign. If there's more things coming out, like sexual assault or stuff like that.
What's the story, Mr. Tory?
Right? There could be a whole bunch like other things that's about to come out, and he doesn't want people to know about.
Oh yeah,
I really do think that's one of the reasons why he stepped down. The blackmailing is really good as well, and I think there might be more.
He is no longer mayor. There's a question we have to weigh as journalists about what's the public interest in the details, but it's certainly going to be lots coming forward because he asked for an integrity commissioner investigation, which means City Hall's integrity commissioner is going to look at. And I think at the very least, we'll get some idea of clarity about what the rules are, because when in the past week or so, when we were really digging into, did the mayor break any rules, if in fact the relationship overlapped with both of their times in the mayor's office, the answer we got back, there is really a gray area. There's some general guidance on kind of avoiding favoritism to somebody you're in a relationship with, but there didn't seem to be any actual, prohibition against it. So there's going to be lots to come on that, which is more policy. And there's also a mayor's race heating up. I've since the pretty much as soon as the mayor said I will step down, my phone started, buzzing with people talking about who's going to run, and some people who are thinking about running. So we're going to have that coming. So there's still, the story's not over by any stretch.
Along with whatever the integrity commissioner might come out with, along with whoever may end up as mayor, are there any other sort of pressing and lingering questions that you still have about what you've been able to report so far, you and your team?
Yeah, I mean, I think, and I don't know if we'll know this or know it very soon. I mean, I think the biggest question for anybody who's watched John Tory is, like, what was he thinking? Like, why would he risk the mayoralty, something that he desperately wanted for so long, and a job he said he loved, and watching him every day, I know he loved. Mm-hmm. Why would he risk it for something like this?
Well, they did say he was having problems with his relationship.
That's no excuse.
And this one was probably, like I said, one of his staffers who was always there trying to support him, No,
there's no excuse. The woman that we knew you won the campaign with is your wife.
Yeah.
We shouldn't know any other.
Mm-hmm.
It also depends. Like, the thing about it is, the stat of the affair, were they just hanging out? Were they like sleeping with each other? We don't really know, right?
Well, when they say affair, it's normally sex.
Yeah. So this old guy was,
I want to know how young the girl was.
Well, apparently she's in the 30s.
Yeah, I was thinking like 30s to 40s.
Yeah, so she's not a minor.
Why does age matter?
The older men, they like the younger women.
Yeah, we do.
Right? For their side piece or whatever. What? Because he's older, right? His wife is older, so he gets a young, maybe attractive secretary.
Fresh. No. You see, when you say wife, he has his wife. Leave it right there.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, like I said, they're probably having problems, and he probably turned to this woman, and which was a mistake. You shouldn't be turning to other women when you have problems with your relationship, because that's always never goes.
That's how it always is.
Yeah, it never goes well, because you start developing feelings for that person, because like, oh my God, she really understands me. Mm. And meanwhile, this woman is just trying to ruin your relationship the whole time. And you took the bait.
Her whole job is to be submissive to him, right?
Well, she did that.
Definitely.
So I wouldn't say like he was set up, like it was a choice.
Yeah.
Because she's always there to serve him.
Yeah, she definitely served him, right?
Right.
He was kind of a political, he has kind of born a blue blood, but he was a bit of a political loser. He had tried to run for mayor once and failed, and then he was a leader of the Ontario Progressive Conservative Party.
Yeah, I remember
tried
that.
to take a provincial office as premier, and he failed at that. And then in 2014, he took a big shot at being mayor of Toronto, and he won, and he kept winning. He became a political winner. He easily won re-election twice. And although Toronto is in, dire straits because of the pandemic, like many big cities, probably more so because we have a lot of costs and other issues that other places don't, he was seen as the steady hand at the tiller after the chaotic Rob Ford mayoralty, who was going to help continue leading us out of the pandemic. And the idea that he would risk all of that for some kind of an illicit relationship, I think just boggles a lot of minds. And including, I've talked to people who are extremely close to him, who, when I told them what we were hearing before we broke the news, they honestly didn't believe it. And in fact, when I got the first tip, I honestly didn't believe it. So that to me is the biggest question.
David, you talked about the city and the people of Toronto, and of course, a lot of issues that city is facing, whether you're talking about housing, whether you're talking about, trying to get back on track after the pandemic, recent violence on the TTC. What will John Tory's departure and the upcoming mayoral race, what will that mean when you're thinking about these issues and the impact on those issues?
Well, it adds a big unwelcome dose of instability to a city that already, seems to be
we got a bad rep
teetering on the edge of it.
All right, but how do you guys feel about John Tory? Like, has he done good for the city since he's been around? Like, how do you feel about him? Like, Craig, how do you feel about John?
I'm going to put it this way. So every morning I start with the guys at work and we talk about politics. I haven't heard anyone say, fuck John Tory.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I've heard fuck Trudeau.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but you never heard anything bad about
Yeah, I haven't heard anything.
Yeah.
I didn't like the guy when he first beat Doug Ford, or was it
Rob Ford.
Rob Ford.
Yeah,
I
Rob.
don't like the guy.
But other than that, I feel like he's been doing a good job for the city so far. I feel like he handled the pandemic pretty well. For our city at least, right? He tried to get money for the city to better create jobs and everything. He's been doing a really good job of that.
Right.
I think he extended that new highway. What's that highway? No, sorry. He started repairing the Gardner. He wanted to repair the Gardner. He started fixing the Gardner.
So what did he do for the pandemic?
The pandemic, well, yeah, he had to lock down cities, but he tried to open the small businesses back. But you got to remember, he also has to go through Trudeau, right? Trudeau was the one who was really holding back for a lot of things. So we can't totally blame everything on the pandemic on John, because John wanted things open. He was
all Trudeau.
Yeah.
Why are we blaming Trudeau?
Trudeau is the premier, right, for Ontario. So he's the one who has to give the okay. Sure, all the cities can say, okay, well, we want this done, but till the upper guys, the higher guys say, okay, we can't really do anything.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So other than that, I feel like John did a good job. Right? And I think we all agree that he did a good job.
I mean, as a leader, I feel like when you see that you're not fit anymore to lead, it's the best thing to step down.
Okay. All right.
I think I've heard that from some councillors, expressing kind of fear for the city. The pandemic impacts are still hitting Toronto in terms of huge loss of revenue. We've got a budget that's only balanced on the hopes of a massive bailout, more than $1 billion from the provincial and federal governments. No guarantee that's going to turn up. You mentioned the recent violence on the public transit system and elsewhere, especially seeming random kinds of violence, which some people say is linked to the crisis in lack of services for mental health. The housing crisis, so many people can't even afford any kind of home in Toronto. So all of that, I think Torontonians felt some assurance that John Tory was out there every day, because he was, in the media all the time saying, yes, it's difficult. And yes, we've been tested through the pandemic and now we've got these challenges ahead, but I will get us through this. And suddenly he's gone. So there is a lot of, I think, a lot of uneasiness and a lot of fear. And I'm sure people are hoping that we'll get a new mayor who can convey that kind of confidence as soon as possible.
David, just finally here, as you've brought up, John Tory, of course, coming in after those tumultuous Rob Ford years and promised as sort of this steady hand. What does all of this mean for his legacy? Do you think that he will ever move past this, or is this his legacy now?
Yeah, that's a good point. I feel like this is going to stain him.
Of course. If people still stain Chris Brown, I'm pretty sure people that are familiar from this era will say John Tory, the guy who had the affair.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
What?
Can you have a divorce in that position?
It just looks bad on you guys if you get a divorce.
Yeah, they want to know what happened.
But wouldn't that be the most responsible thing to do?
He should have divorced his wife before having this relationship.
Yeah.
If he wasn't happy.
Yeah.
Like I said, maybe what happened, this staffer was just comforting him and just went a little further than he thought he would go. I don't think he expected to get into a relationship with a staffer. Right?
And maybe they just started recently arguing because he's been in there for a while, a couple of years.
Yeah. But I think Greg Steiner said that he should have divorced the wife before starting the relationship.
Yeah. Because now it looks bad on him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's not what guys do. Nobody, even women, they don't just leave. They'll be like, okay, let me just
Hey, Steph, what do you know what guys do?
Well, I have been through it, so.
No, you're just speaking on the sex of things, right?
Well, yeah, because John Tory, he could have divorced, but in his mind, okay, one, divorce will look bad on him, right? People will be wondering why they got divorced. Two, maybe he just didn't want a divorce, and he kind of just was like, okay, shit, things happen with her, but then now I'm just going to continue it because
You're encouraging an affair, right?
no, I'm not encouraging. No, I'm saying he should have got divorced, but I'm just saying like that's not typically how it works, you know?
So he wanted the side piece. He wanted cake and
he
he wanted his
wanted
cake and
that.
eat it too.
No, you're just putting up that image,
But
right? And
that's
now it
what
looks
he did.
bad. Yeah.
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 I mean, who knows what he'll do? He's still a very well-connected, well-respected man. Although obviously he's under a big cloud now. He's almost 69 years old, so he's turned 69 in May, and he's
69.
quite wealthy.
Geez,
He doesn't
perfect
need a
age.
job.
Shame.
69.
As far as his legacy, I mean, I think right now the cloud is kind of all we can see because it is, such an unexpected kind of bombshell that's gone off. I think with a bit of distance, he can say that he did what he promised in that he did. Toronto was in international headlines and kind of a joke on late night TV for all the wrong reasons while Rob Ford was mayor and
But now we're a
leading
joke
up to
again.
the 2014
Now we're going to be a
election.
joke again. That's
John
so
Tory
true.
did get the city back on track in lots of ways. He was always out trying to get international business for the city. And through the pandemic, I think he can very rightfully say that he, along with a couple of other leaders, helped keep the city on track during a major crisis. Toronto is now one of the most heavily vaccinated cities in the world, and that's due in large part to John Tory and others' efforts to get people vaccinated.
You look like you want to say something there. Like you're holding in.
I mean, that I don't care about, like the whole vaccination. Like,
We're past the pandemic.
makes my eyes roll.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Because you won't agree with it, right? You're not one of those.
Do you know what we went through?
Yeah. It was hell for 2 years.
I'm vaccinated, just saying. No, you guys are probably not. So,
Yeah.
oh, no.
Anti-vax.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a whole different discussion. Okay.
The result is that, we have not suffered, although there was a lot of suffering, we have not suffered as much as some other big cities. So I think with a bit of distance, people will say, obviously ended in a terrible way, but that he did do good for the city. It's just, I think, kind of a shocking end to what a lot of people would consider a very successful economy.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, David, I think we will leave it there. We really appreciate your time this morning after what it sounds like has been a very, very busy couple of days, both for you and members of your team as well. But thank you so much for your time. We do appreciate it this morning.
Yeah, no problem.
David Ryder, City Hall Bureau Chief.
Because, taxpayers are going to pay the dollars for this other election because of what happened. Sucks, but it is what it is. But other than that, I feel like he did a good job. It's just disappointing how he's going out, and I feel like he's going to be remembered for this. And I don't think it's fair to him. What do you feel about that?
Yeah, he's going to be remembered for that. It's not fair. But again, like he did choose that. He did.
Yeah,
that's a consequence for
He did what he did. Yeah.
Yeah.
And now it's out there, especially knowing that he's like a big public figure and taking a risk like that.
Yeah, because all eyes were pretty much on him all the time.
Yeah, he didn't fall on my radar until he had a side chick.
Yeah, I never would have thought he would do that.
Right? If you guys made all in the video, you guys know what to do, man. Give the video a big thumbs up. Subscribe, you guys. And if you guys got any other topics you guys want to check out, put it in the comments down below, all right? Anyways, we're out. Bye.
Bye.
Do it! Just do it! Don't let your dreams be dreams.